Hello, my friends. How do you record the Rav Moon and the Rav Vast? In many ways, people focus a lot on the gear that they're using to get a quality recording. And although this is really, really important, the angle of recording, the way the room is laid out, and also how you approach the recording process makes as much of a difference as the type of microphone you use. So we're going to go through a couple of things in this video. What I have done for studio albums, whether I'm in the studio or like my last album, I recorded all outdoors in the field and what I did for that. And we're also going to talk a little bit about what do you really need to post quality videos on social media? Do you need to spend $1 million? Or can you spend a minimal amount or use the gear you have and optimize the sound quality from that? So let's first take a look at the general setup for recording the Rav with microphones, whichever microphones you choose to use. Let's take a look. Okay, so you have many options for recording your instruments in a professional manner. The way that I find is the easiest for my style of recording when I'm not in the studio is using a Zoom recorder. This happens to be a Zoom H5, but the Zoom H6, Zoom H3, whatever you want it to be, is a really good option. I like the H5 because it has two plugs in the bottom for other mics, and it has an XY swappable mic on the top. For me, this XY mic and these two mics pointed at an angle really cover the sound well. It's a really cheap and inexpensive way of recording studio quality audio without spending $1 million. And most of us who get into the instrument, when we're first starting, we're hobbyists. We're not professional musicians like I am. And you want to be able to get good sound, but not have to spend $1 million. And the Zoom recorder is a really good option because it combines a microphone with the ability to save a recording and also add extensions onto that. Above the Zoom H5, the Zoom H6, and the newer generations, they give you more options for expandability. So there's more slots for microphones. But in general, if you're using a mic that you like, these happen to be an SM58 and this SM58 clone, these are great. I'm going to plug in a little part of an older video I did with one of my friends who is a recording artist, and we went through a bunch of different types of microphones. But honestly, for the Rav, I find that the SM58 is great. And between the angle of recording and how it's mixed and mastered, you really can get a professional sound out of that particular type of mic. There's a lot of videos that talk really in depth about the best microphones to use, but you can go down that rabbit hole once you've kind of established yourself with, I can get a good quality recording out of that. How can we refine this? So first up would be the Zoom and these two mics, and we're going to talk about the angle of attack right now. Okay, so in terms of layout, I'm looking for a couple different things when I'm situating myself. I would normally be sitting in a chair, so my legs are nice and flat, and I can have a consistent height for the instrument. So I'm keeping the instrument at a flat plane, I'm not dipping and moving it every time I'm playing it, and I'm finding a comfortable position that I like. So this is my position here. I'm taking one of the two mics that I'm using, and I'm setting up one of them so that it's pointing towards this area here. So I want it to be aiming towards the middle, but it's going to capture this whole area here. I'm taking my other mic, and these are both SM58s, and I'm angling this around the same way as that one, and I'm making sure that as I'm angling this, I'm covering the same area as the previous one. So if my first one is angled facing about maybe that would be 40 degrees in this direction, my other one's mirroring that. So we have two that are coming in and coming in the same angle of attack. The other important factor, I'm just going to move this out of the way, is if we were to take our Zoom recorder, which we have right here, I'm angling this so that I have a bit more of a top-down angle. I'm coming at it like this, and I'm making sure that the XY mic, or whatever mic you use if you use a Zoom, is facing directly towards the front of the instrument. This allows you to evenly capture the left side, the right side, and then the front of the instrument. It doesn't leave any spots uncovered by the miking scenario, and it's probably the best setup for me for Handpan as well. The only difference, if I was recording the Handpan, I would have a mic underneath the instrument as well for the Helmholtz resonance. And this is not important on the Rav because Ravs don't have that button. So for the Rav Vast, I find this is the best setup. The difference here would be that if I was using the Moon, I would not have the angle of attack that these ones have. I would be out a little further. And in a second, I'm going to give you an example, a sound example of both styles. But listen first to the sound of the instruments that are more on top and pointing down versus in front and pointing out. So take a look at that. So you can hear the differences between all of these recording styles. And for recordings you want to release, recordings you want the audio to be the best quality, either a DAW or a Zoom or an analog mixer could be a great option for you. But I really think the Zoom is probably the easiest thing for most consumers to use to record with. All of this said, if you're posting on social media, for YouTube, the quality matters. The audio quality really is important because the sound is pretty good on YouTube, especially on YouTube Music. For Instagram and Facebook, there is quite a bit of sound and video quality degradation. So I personally do not worry as much when doing videos on Instagram or on Facebook or TikTok, because the audio never is quite as good as how I captured it. So something like the Osmo Pocket 3 by DJI, which I'm using to record this right now, or even a GoPro Hero 7 Black and up, the audio quality for that is really good. It's good for the low end, middle, and high. And I find that that's okay, and I don't need to spend a lot of time mixing and mastering for those types of videos. Obviously, if you're looking to have professional quality audio in each video, you could do this setup, but the reality of a performing musician and a person that wants to play outside is that I don't always want to do that. So this is a really good thing to keep in mind when you're picking out what you want to use to play with and record with. So final thoughts, if you're looking to record professional audio, the Zoom and SM58 or whatever microphones you like choice are a great option. Having this angle of attack where you're facing almost directly on top of it, but at an angle is best. And also having an XY mic like this one that's faced directly at you, so you're covering the front end. With those 3 mics, or really 4 if you include both of the XY, you can really get a high quality sound that doesn't cost $1 million. And once you have this setup ready to go, you can adapt which microphones you want to use. Whether you want to use a Shure mic, you want to use an Octavia, you want to use a condenser mic, whatever you want to do, you can experiment with refining the sound. But our basic setup is this. If you have questions or you want to know more about a particular thing in this video, be sure to write that below. And let me know what you want to hear next time for videos, and I'd love to follow up. Talk to you guys soon.